It was a cold Thursday night, the kind that seeps into your bones even when you're inside. I remember sitting in my car for almost 10 minutes before entering the house, trying to understand why my chest felt heavy for no reason. Nothing unusual had happened that day, but something in my gut felt off. I walked into the house expecting the usual warmth, the usual, "Hey babe, you're home." But that night, silence greeted me like a punch to the stomach. The living room lights were off, the kitchen untouched, and the whole place felt frozen in time. My heart started beating faster. I called her name, but only my echo answered back. There was a tension in the air, a tension that you don't notice with your eyes, but with your instincts. Like the kind of pressure you feel right before a thunderstorm hits. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I just didn't know that the next 10 minutes would break me in ways I didn't think a human heart could break. As I walked toward the bedroom, I heard a faint sound, like a whisper, like someone breathing just a bit too fast. My hand froze on the doorknob. I told myself I was overthinking, that maybe she was just sleeping. But I knew it wasn't true. My palms were sweating. My throat tightened. The air felt thick and suffocating, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. I pushed the door open slowly. And the darkness swallowed me whole. At first, all I saw were shapes, shadows, outlines, nothing clear. But then I heard movement. And then I saw feet on the floor. 2 sets. My stomach dropped so fast I nearly collapsed. I felt the blood drain from my face as my brain tried to understand what my eyes were seeing. It felt like time slowed down to a crawl, forcing me to experience every millisecond of pain. My wife wasn't alone. I wish I could say I screamed. I wish I could say I reacted like people in movies, yelling or throwing something. But I didn't. I froze. Completely. The same way a deer freezes when headlights catch it off guard. The bed creaked. The silhouette of a man sat up. My wife gasped and covered herself with the blanket. Her voice trembled as she said my name, but it sounded so distant, so foreign, like it belonged to someone I used to know, not the woman I married. For a moment, nobody spoke. The room was filled with this unbearable silence, the kind that crushes you from the inside. I felt something inside my chest tear, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to stop existing. It wasn't just betrayal I was facing. It was the death of the life I thought I had. The man stood up, slowly. And when he stepped into the thin strip of light coming from the hallway, I recognized him instantly. My best friend. My brother in everything but blood. The man who stood beside me at my wedding, who helped me move into this very house, who held my hand when my father died. My entire world twisted in a way I can't describe. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was humiliation. A betrayal so deep it felt like someone stabbed me with a blade but twisted it slowly, savoring every second. His eyes were filled with shame, but also something else, fear. Fear of the truth. Fear of what I was about to find out. Because, as I would soon learn, the affair wasn't the real betrayal. It was the reason behind it. My legs finally gave out, and I sat on the floor. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stared at the 2 people I trusted the most, wondering how the hell I ended up here. My wife reached for me, tears running down her face, but I backed away like she was fire and I was gasoline. She kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," over and over again, like she was trying to convince herself it mattered. My best friend couldn't even look at me. I wanted to ask a million questions, but all that came out was, "Why?" Just one word. One word that held all the pain of my soul. And when she opened her mouth to answer, her voice cracked in a way I had never heard before. She started talking fast, panicked, stumbling through words that didn't connect. Saying things like, "It was a mistake," and, "It just happened," and, "You don't understand." But I wasn't listening to the words. I was watching her eyes. They weren't the eyes of someone caught in a mistake. They were the eyes of someone hiding something much, much bigger. And that terrified me more than the affair itself. Because in that moment, I realized she wasn't guilty of cheating. She was guilty of lying about why she cheated. And the truth was about to flip my entire world upside down. I asked again. Why him? She froze. Completely. My best friend looked away, wiped his face, and whispered, "He deserves to know." She shook her head violently, begging him not to say anything. My chest tightened as I watched them argue silently with just their eyes. Finally, she broke. She whispered something so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Because I thought I was saving you. Saving me. Cheating. To save me." The words made no sense. None. But the pain in her voice told me she meant it. And that terrified me even more. She took a deep breath and said, "Please sit. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's worse than you think." I didn't want to sit. I didn't want to listen. But something in her tone, the trembling, the terror, forced me to stay still. She said she had been hiding something from me for months. Something she discovered during a medical checkup. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I felt the room spinning. Because the way she said, "medical," made my stomach twist into knots. And then, she said it. The words that shattered me even more than walking in on her with another man. She said, "I'm sick. Really sick. And I didn't know how to tell you." My mind went blank. She started explaining, something about tests, specialists, second opinions. But all I could hear was the sound of my heartbeat pounding like a drum inside my skull. She told me that she thought she might not have long. Weeks. Months. She didn't know. I felt like my soul was being ripped apart. But I still didn't understand what any of this had to do with cheating. She looked me in the eyes, really looked, and whispered, "I didn't want you to spend your life taking care of someone who might be dying."
If this story hits you, you can support the channel with a quick hype.
Tears streamed down her cheeks. My heart stopped. Literally stopped. She continued, "I thought, if you hated me, if you left me, you'd be free. You'd move on. You'd live a better life without being chained to someone who's broken." Every word felt like a hammer smashing against my chest. She cheated. Not because she stopped loving me, but because she thought she was protecting me. And that twisted, tragic logic somehow made everything hurt 1,000 times more. When she said those words, "I wanted you to hate me so you wouldn't suffer with me," I felt something inside me snap in a completely different way. Not anger. Not betrayal. Not heartbreak. Something deeper. Something heavier. A grief I wasn't ready for. Because now, instead of being furious at her cheating, I found myself terrified of losing her. The paradox tore me apart. How can someone break your heart and protect it at the same time? How can someone destroy your world while trying to save it? My chest felt like it was caving in. She sat there shaking, begging me not to touch her, as if she believed she didn't deserve comfort. And the worst part, I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or hold her like I used to. Everything was tangled, twisted, and suffocating. Then my best friend, the man I once trusted more than anyone, finally spoke. He said, "She didn't cheat because she wanted to. She begged me to help her push you away." I stared at him, stunned. He continued, "She told me she needed you gone. Needed you angry. Needed you to move on so you could have a better life without her illness weighing you down." The words made me dizzy. He claimed he tried to stop her. Claimed he told her this plan was insane. Claimed he told her I deserved the truth. But she insisted. And instead of telling me the truth, he helped her destroy me. My fists clenched so hard my nails dug into my palms. Part of me understood his side. The other part wanted to hit him until he disappeared. She reached over to the nightstand drawer and pulled out a folder. A thick one. Inside were hospital letters, test results, appointment summaries. All with her name on them. All dated months back. She had been carrying this weight alone. I flipped through the papers with trembling hands, the medical terms blurring in my vision. It felt like someone poured ice water through my veins. It didn't excuse the betrayal. It didn't erase the pain. But it shifted the story into a tragedy instead of a crime. She was trying to protect me. And in doing so, she broke both of us. I didn't know whether to hold her or fall apart all over again. I asked her something I never thought I'd have to ask. Why didn't you trust me to stay? Her answer shattered me. She said she saw the way I cared for my father in his final months. How it drained me. How I lost sleep, lost weight, lost myself. She said she couldn't stand the thought of being another weight on my chest. She couldn't stand the thought of me watching the woman I loved fade away. She said she would rather lose me by force than watch me lose myself willingly. That logic was painfully flawed. Tragically flawed. But I could see her heart behind it. A heart that loved me so intensely that it chose the most self-destructive path possible. My legs gave out again, and I sat on the floor. She crawled toward me slowly, like she was afraid to touch me, afraid I'd break if she reached out. When her hand brushed my knee, I didn't pull away this time. Not because the pain was gone, but because the fear of losing her was suddenly greater than the pain of betrayal. She broke. Completely. Sobbing in a way I had never seen before, choking on her words, apologizing again and again. It wasn't the apology of someone who cheated. It was the apology of someone who was drowning and didn't know how to be saved. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. I still loved her. Even after everything. And that realization hurt more than anything else. I had two paths. Walk out the door and never return. Or sit beside the woman who destroyed me. Because she believed she was protecting me from something worse. Neither choice felt right. Neither felt fair. But life doesn't give warning signs before putting you at a crossroads. I wiped my palms against my jeans, trying to breathe through the chaos in my chest. She whispered, "If you leave, I won't stop you." And I knew she meant it. She wasn't fighting for us anymore. She had already surrendered. She was prepared to lose me completely if it meant I would have a happier life without her. That twisted form of love hurt more than the affair itself. The room went silent. Not the kind of silence filled with tension. But the kind that feels like a pause between heartbeats. A moment where the whole world stops spinning. Waiting for you to make a choice that will define the rest of your life. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Her tear-stained face. Her shaking hands. The fear in her eyes mixed with a desperate kind of love. And I realized. The person in front of me wasn't my unfaithful wife. She was a broken human being who made a terrible decision out of fear, pain, and love twisted into something unrecognizable. And somehow, I still cared. More than I wanted to. Before making any decision, I needed answers from the man who helped her execute this nightmare. I turned to my best friend. He didn't run. He didn't defend himself. He just stood there with tears in his eyes, saying he was sorry but that he would do it again if it meant saving my future. His words hit like a punch. I yelled, finally. All the shock and confusion boiled over into anger that had been building since the moment I opened that bedroom door. How dare he decide what was best for my life? How dare he take part in destroying my marriage under the illusion of helping me? The betrayal cut so deep I couldn't breathe. But somewhere in all that rage, I could still see the truth. He acted out of loyalty twisted into stupidity. He acted out of fear of losing both of us. It didn't make it right. But it made it understandable. I finally stood up. My hands were shaking. My heart was aching. But my voice was steady when I said, if we fix this, it has to start with the truth. No more lies. My wife nodded immediately, collapsing in relief. My best friend agreed and walked out, leaving us alone for the first time without secrets in the air. I didn't promise forgiveness. I didn't promise a future. I only promised honesty. And she promised to fight. For her health. For recovery. For us. Maybe the marriage could be rebuilt. Maybe not. But the one thing I knew for certain was this. We were done running from the truth. Weeks passed. Test results improved. Treatment options appeared. Hope returned in places where pain once lived. We started talking again, not as a perfect couple, but as two broken people trying to understand each other. And though the wounds were deep, something surprising happened. We found strength in the very thing that almost destroyed us. We learned to communicate. We learned to fight the right battles. And for the first time in months, we felt like a team again. Not healed. Not perfect. But alive. And sometimes, that's enough to begin again.
If you've ever felt this kind of pain, don't walk through it alone. Hit subscribe and stay with us. More real stories are coming.